Who do you believe is the most underrated player on the Cleveland Browns? We're about to get into my top 3 list here. Before we do that, though, I want you guys to head down to the comment section and let me know who you think it is. We'll begin with the quarterback, Baker Mayfield, who I think actually has a pretty legitimate argument for being a top 10 quarterback right now. Now, that's built around the way he closed the 2020 season. But of the young quarterbacks, highlighted by Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, etc., Baker gets overlooked, partially because of the raw statistical production and the dip he had in year 2. But the Baker we saw down the stretch last season is very much worthy of being inside that conversation. Look at what he did over the first 6 games. Not very good. Question marks around just how good he's actually going to be. Is he the team's franchise quarterback, etc., etc. But the way he closed the last 10 games, his yards per attempt went up by nearly 1.5, a substantial jump. 7.81 was one of the better numbers in that time frame there. Completion percentage, that goes up. A blistering Aaron Rodgers-esque 8-to-1 touchdown-interception ratio. His quarterback rating improved substantially. If the Baker Mayfield we saw down the stretch last, which I thought was in part to the offense finally getting comfortable in the Kevin Stefanski offensive scheme, if that Baker shows up again, he's going to be top 10, no doubt. Next up is Wyatt Teller, who isn't often mentioned in the discussion of best guards in the NFL, maybe in part because Joel Bitonio is also one of the best guards in the NFL. But I think Teller gets overlooked for 2 core reasons. Number one, where he was drafted. The reality is in the NFL, if you're a later round draft pick, you will always be discounted. You will always be overlooked. And that's not fair. That is how life tends to operate across different positions and different teams there. He was also traded fairly early. The Browns got a steal getting him for what they did. He is part of the best offensive line in the NFL and not that far away from a big fat contract himself. Now, this is all per Pro Football Focus, and yes, you want to see a little bit better growth in terms of the pass protection. That's an area where he could certainly improve. But look at that run grade, man. Almost 94. That is an obscene figure right there. Wyatt Teller, I think unquestionably, maybe actually might be the most overlooked offensive lineman in the NFL, but definitely is one of the more overlooked players right now. Finally, on defense, Ronnie Harrison, who I would argue gets kind of overlooked by his own team and coaching staff. Wasn't a full-time starter last year in terms of overall snap counts. Stopped playing Andrews and Dehill. They should have done last year. And he's probably in a similar spot this year with Grant Delpit, John Johnson, both coming back. Although, make no mistake, the Browns will use multiple safety looks here. When he has played, both in Jacksonville and in Cleveland, he's shown plenty of ability. I'm a big fan of Ronnie Harrison. I thought, much like Wyatt Teller, it was a steal for what the Browns were able to get him for. I'm a big fan of his play. Yeah, he might be safety 3, quote-unquote, if Delpit's healthy and, John Johnson is, John Johnson. But I think underrated-wise, he definitely counts.